Listen, nobody is coming to save you. Not your parents, not your friends, not the government, not some miracle waiting around the corner. The cavalry isn't on its way. And that might sound scary at first, but it's actually the most liberating truth you'll ever hear. Because the moment you stop waiting for someone to rescue you, you realize you already hold the power. Every breakthrough, every transformation, every next level of your life, it starts with the decisions you make today. Think about how many people waste years waiting for the perfect time, waiting for the right partner, waiting for motivation, waiting for luck. And while they're waiting, life is passing them by. Here's the truth: nothing changes until you do. Most people go through life carrying a silent belief that someone else is responsible for how their story turns out. They think their parents should have raised them differently, their boss should have recognized them, the government should have given them opportunities, or that life itself owes them a smoother path. But the hard truth is this: no one is responsible for your life except you. This is what radical responsibility means. It's not just about taking some ownership, it's about taking complete and total responsibility for everything in your life, even the things you think aren't your fault. At first, that can sound unfair. Why should you take responsibility for something you didn't cause? Why should you own the pain you didn't create, the challenges you didn't choose, or the failures that came from someone else's mistakes? But here's the breakthrough: responsibility does not mean blame. Responsibility means power. If you're waiting for someone else to fix things, you're powerless. But the moment you accept responsibility, you hold the keys to change, because if it's yours, you can shape it. If it belongs to someone else, you're stuck. Think of it like this: if you're on a ship and the captain makes a poor decision that steers you into a storm, you might not have caused the storm, but you still have a choice: sit helpless and complain, or grab the wheel and fight to steer yourself out. Waiting for someone else to fix it won't save you, because your future depends on your own hands, your own courage, and your own decisions. Radical responsibility asks you to stop outsourcing your life. It forces you to stop saying, "I can't because of them," or "I would only they help me." The moment you drop those excuses is the moment you begin to tap into your real strength. The truth is, we all have reasons why we could quit, why we could complain, why we could surrender, but none of those reasons will build the future you want. Only responsibility will. When you step into radical responsibility, your mindset shifts from victim to creator. Instead of saying, "I have no time," you say, "I haven't managed my priorities yet." Instead of saying, "My boss doesn't pay me enough," you say, "I haven't yet created the value or the skills to increase my income." Instead of saying, "No one supports me," you say, "Need to build the strength to stand on my own." That shift changes everything, because it gives you the power to act instead of waiting for life to act on your behalf. This doesn't mean the journey is easy. In fact, responsibility often feels heavier than excuses. But here's the difference. Excuses weigh you down with regret, while responsibility builds you up with growth. Every time you take responsibility, you expand your capacity. You learn, you adapt, you grow stronger. The struggles you face stop being prisons and start becoming training grounds. Ask yourself this: what areas of your life have you been waiting for someone else to fix? Your health, your finances, your relationships, your mindset. Now imagine if you took full ownership of each of those. No more blaming the food industry, no more waiting for a raise, no more expecting someone else to understand you, no more waiting for motivation to magically appear. Imagine if you decided, "It's on me, all of it. If it is to be, it's up to me." That is radical responsibility. When you live this way, something powerful happens. You stop fearing failure, because failure is no longer something happening to you. It's simply feedback you take ownership of, learn from, and use to grow. You also stop being paralyzed by uncertainty, because instead of waiting for a guarantee, you trust yourself to figure things out as you go. Radical responsibility makes you unstoppable, because you're no longer waiting for anyone else to move the pieces of your life forward. And here's the most important part: when you take radical responsibility, you discover freedom. Not the freedom of an easy life, but the freedom of knowing that your destiny is in your hands. The chains of blame and waiting fall off. The moment you realize no one is coming to save you and you don't need them to, that's the moment you step into true power. So today, choose responsibility. Own your story, your struggles, your choices, and your future. Don't look outside for a savoir. Look in the mirror. That person staring back at you has always been the one capable of saving you. And when you finally embrace that truth, you stop surviving and you start creating the life you were meant to live. Most people spend a large portion of their life waiting. They wait for the right time, the right opportunity, the right amount of money, or the right person to come along and make things easier. They believe that at some point, somebody or something will appear to take them out of their struggles. But waiting is one of the most dangerous traps you can fall into. The longer you wait, the more time slips through your fingers. The longer you wait, the weaker your belief in yourself becomes. The truth is simple but hard to swallow. No one is going to come and rescue you. Self-reliance is the only way forward. And when you finally embrace this, you begin to build a life that no one can take away from you. Self-reliance doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean you reject every helping hand that comes your way. What it means is that you stop depending on others as your only solution. It means you recognize that if you want something, you have to take the first step toward it. Waiting for someone else to hand you opportunities will keep you stuck. The moment you say, "I'm responsible for creating my own opportunities," everything changes. Instead of waiting for motivation, you build discipline. Instead of waiting for a chance, you create one. Instead of waiting for support, you learn to push yourself when no one is watching. Think of how many people say, when I get the right job, I'll start working harder, or when I find the right mentor, I'll finally start taking things seriously. They put conditions on their growth. They hand over their power to circumstances. But the truth is that the people who achieve greatness are the ones who act without waiting. They don't need a perfect situation. They build momentum in the middle of imperfection. That's self-reliance, choosing to act even when the environment isn't perfect. Every time you wait for someone else to solve your problems, you give away a piece of your strength. The more you depend on others, the less confidence you have in yourself. And the less confidence you have, the smaller you play. It becomes a cycle that keeps you stuck in mediocrity. But the moment you step up and decide, I will rely on myself, I will build myself, I will fight for myself, you break that cycle. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to see your own potential. That trust becomes fuel, and the fuel becomes action. Now think about history, inventions, businesses, and movements that have changed the world. None of them were created by people who sat around waiting for permission. They were built by individuals who relied on themselves, who took risks, who chose to act despite uncertainty. That same spirit is available to you. Self-reliance is not about being fearless. It's about acting even when fear is present. It's about saying, I may not know everything, but I know enough to start. And here's the powerful truth. The moment you stop waiting for others, people start to respect you more. Leaders emerge when they stop depending and start creating. Self-reliance attracts support because people want to follow those who take initiative. Ironically, when you stop waiting for help, that's often when help arrives. But the difference is now you're not dependent on it. You're empowered by it. Ask yourself, where are you still waiting? Are you waiting for someone to notice your talent? Waiting for your circumstances to improve? Waiting for the right partner, the right moment, the right amount of courage? How much longer will you wait before you decide to rely on yourself? Because the clock is ticking, and the longer you wait, the further your dreams slip away. The moment you embrace self-reliance, you unlock a strength you never knew you had. You stop being a passenger and become the driver. You stop being a follower and step into leadership of your own life. And yes, it's harder. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's also the only way to freedom. The truth is, no savoir is coming, and that's the greatest news you'll ever receive, because you don't need one. You have always had the power to move, to decide, to act, and to create. Self-reliance is not a burden. It's the path to becoming unstoppable. So stop waiting, start building, and realize that everything you've been looking for is already inside of you, waiting for you to step up and claim it. Every great transformation begins with a decision, not with resources, not with luck, not with someone else giving you permission, but with a single powerful choice made deep within you. A decision is what separates those who stay stuck from those who rise. Most people think they need the perfect plan, the right timing, or all the answers before they move, but the truth is none of those things matter until a decision is made. The moment you really decide, your brain shifts, your body shifts, your energy shifts. That one act ignites a chain reaction that can transform your entire life. Think about the times in your life when you achieved something you never thought possible. It wasn't because conditions were perfect. It wasn't because you had all the resources lined up. It was because you made a decision that you were no longer willing to live the way you were living. You said, enough is enough. You said, this is my time. That decision created the momentum, and the momentum created results. Without that initial choice, you would have stayed in the same place. The problem is most people never make real decisions. They make preferences. They say, I'd like to lose weight, or I'd like to start a business, or I'd like to improve my life. That's not a decision, that's a wish. A decision means cutting off all other possibilities. It means burning the boat so the only way forward is to make it happen. When you decide, there is no turning back. You don't wait for motivation, you create it through commitment. You don't wait for opportunities, you build them through action. That's the difference between those who live an extraordinary life and those who live a life of regret. Life will always test your decision. The moment you decide to grow, you will face obstacles. You will face doubt, fear, and setbacks. And here's the truth: if your decision is weak, those challenges will break you. But if your decision is strong, they will shape you. Every struggle becomes fuel. Every failure becomes a lesson. Every roadblock becomes proof that you're on a path worth pursuing. The strength of your decision determines the strength of your future. Look at the people you admire most. Athletes, leaders, creators, innovators. They didn't start with certainty. They started with a decision. They didn't wait to feel ready. They decided they were ready now. They didn't let their lack of resources stop them. They let their resourcefulness grow from the decision itself. That's why a decision is more powerful than a plan, because a decision creates the energy to find a way. You don't need to know how everything will unfold. You don't need to see 10 steps ahead. What you need is a decision that today, right now, you will no longer accept the limitations that have held you back. You will no longer wait for someone else to push you. You will no longer hope things magically change. You will decide to take control, to act, to build, and to keep moving forward no matter what. That's the beauty of a decision. It doesn't require permission. It doesn't require perfection. It doesn't require proof. It requires courage. Courage to step into the unknown. Courage to take the first step when the staircase is not fully visible. Courage to say, this is my life, and I am done waiting. And here's what happens when you make that kind of decision. Life starts to open up in ways you never imagined. Opportunities appear, people show up, energy flows where focus goes. But it all begins with that one act of choice. The universe does not respond to hesitation, it responds to clarity. When you decide, doors open. When you hesitate, they close. So ask yourself, what have you been postponing? What dream have you kept on hold, waiting for a better time? What area of your life have you allowed to remain stuck because you have not made a real decision? Understand this, your future is waiting on you, not the other way around. The moment you decide is the moment your life begins to shift. A decision is not just an intellectual agreement, it is a declaration. It is saying to yourself, no matter what it takes, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how long it takes, I will make this happen. That kind of decision carries a power that nothing can stop. Obstacles may delay you, but they cannot defeat you. Failure may slow you down, but it cannot break you. Fear may whisper, but it cannot control you. Because when a true decision is made, the outcome is already chosen. It's only a matter of time before it becomes reality. So stop waiting for certainty. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for someone else to believe in you. Decide today. Decide that you are worthy of more. Decide that you will rise above excuses. Decide that you will take action, even if it's messy, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's terrifying. Decide and watch your world transform. Pain is one of the greatest teachers you will ever have, but most people spend their lives trying to avoid it. They see struggle as punishment, discomfort as something to run from, and challenges as unfair obstacles placed in their path. But what if the very thing you've been trying to avoid is the thing that's meant to prepare you for the life you want? Growth never comes without pain. Every muscle only grows after being torn down through resistance. Every skill only develops after the frustration of failure. Every breakthrough is born out of the struggle you thought was going to break you. Pain is not the enemy, it is the training ground for your strength. When you shift the way you see pain, everything changes. Instead of saying, why me? You begin to say, what is this teaching me? Instead of feeling crushed by your struggles, you recognize them as the very experiences that are shaping you into someone capable of handling more. Pain becomes feedback. It becomes the signal that growth is happening. Think about it, the moments in your life where you truly grew, where you became stronger, wiser, and more capable, were never the moments of ease. They were the moments when you were stretched beyond what you thought you could handle. Those moments carved out a new version of you. The problem is that most people resist this process. They want success without sacrifice, strength without struggle, results without resistance. But life does not work that way. If you were handed everything without effort, you wouldn't have the capacity to keep it. Pain gives you the depth and resilience to handle the weight of your own potential. Without it, you would collapse under the very success you're asking for. That's why pain is not a barrier, it's preparation. Take a look at the greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, or creators. Their stories are not built on comfort, they are built on seasons of difficulty. They faced losses, failures, rejections, and setbacks. And every single one of those moments became the foundation of their strength. Their greatness did not come in spite of pain, it came because of it. They learned how to turn wounds into wisdom, struggles into strategies, and failures into fuel. That's the difference between people who rise and people who remain stuck. The first group embraces pain as part of the process. The second group resents it and tries to avoid it, which keeps them weak. You have to choose how you interpret the challenges in your life. You can either see them as proof that you are cursed, or you can see them as proof that you are being prepared for something greater. Pain is a test, but not in the way you think. It is not a test meant to break you. It's a test meant to reveal you. It's meant to show you what you're made of, what you're capable of, and what's possible for you once you push past the limits you thought were permanent. Every time you survive something you thought you couldn't, you expand your belief in yourself. That expansion is priceless, and it only comes through struggle. Instead of asking for an easier life, start asking for the strength to handle the life you have. Instead of begging for challenges to disappear, ask for the wisdom to navigate them. Pain will visit you whether you want it to or not, but how you respond to it determines everything. You can let it harden you and make you bitter, or you can let it refine you and make you better. That choice belongs to you, and it is the most important choice you will ever make in your journey of growth. And here's the truth. The pain you're experiencing today is not meaningless. It's not random. It is shaping you into the person you need to become for the future you are asking for. Every moment of discomfort is a lesson. Every challenge is an opportunity to build endurance. Every struggle is carving out the strength required for your next level. Without this process, you would remain the same. And staying the same is the real suffering. So the next time life knocks you down, don't just ask how to escape it. Ask how you can grow from it. The pain will not last forever, but the strength you build from it will. Struggle is temporary, but growth is permanent. Pain is not your punishment. It is your preparation. When you finally understand that, you stop running from it and you start leaning into it. That's when you discover that every wound was building your warrior. Every obstacle was shaping your resilience. Every season of struggle was unlocking the strongest version of you. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is that they need to have everything figured out before they can take action. They wait for the perfect plan, the perfect strategy, the perfect clarity before they begin. And because that perfect clarity never shows up, they remain stuck. They live their lives preparing, planning, and waiting, but they never actually move. The truth is, clarity does not come before action. Clarity is the result of action. You cannot think your way into certainty. You must act your way into it. Imagine standing at the edge of a foggy road. You can only see a few feet ahead. If you refuse to move until the entire road is clear, you'll be standing there forever. But if you take just one step, the path begins to reveal itself. Then another step, and you see further. Eventually, by walking, the whole road becomes visible. That is how life works. You don't see the whole plan until you start moving. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates clarity. The reason so many people remain paralyzed is because they confuse motion with action. They read books, they make plans, they talk about their dreams, but they never execute. They're waiting for certainty, and in waiting, they waste years of their lives. The successful, however, understand that certainty is an illusion. They act even when they're uncertain. They take imperfect steps, and those imperfect steps give them feedback. That feedback teaches them what works and what doesn't. And that learning becomes the clarity they were looking for in the first place. Think about children learning to walk. They don't wait until they know exactly how to balance. They don't wait until they've studied the theory of walking. They try, they fall, they adjust, and they try again. Each attempt creates more clarity until finally they master it. As adults, we forget this process and become afraid of looking foolish, so we hesitate. But hesitation kills dreams. Perfectionism kills progress. The only cure is action. Action doesn't have to be massive at first. It can be small, consistent steps taken daily. But those steps matter more than the grand plans that never leave your notebook. A small action repeated consistently will transform your life faster than the biggest idea you never executed. Every step forward builds confidence, and confidence fuels the courage to take bigger steps. Over time, clarity grows not because you had the perfect plan, but because you were willing to start before you were ready. There's a saying, you can't steer a parked car. If you stay still, you can't make adjustments. But once you're moving, even slowly, you can change direction. That's why action is so powerful. It gives you the ability to adapt. Waiting for perfect clarity is like keeping the car in park, staring at the road, hoping one day the whole journey will magically become visible. It never does. You have to start driving. Fear will always whisper that you don't know enough, that you're not ready, that you'll make mistakes. But mistakes are part of the process. They are not proof that you failed. They are proof that you're learning. Every mistake is a step closer to mastery. The people who succeed are not the ones who never made mistakes. They're the ones who never let mistakes stop them from acting again. Ask yourself right now, where in your life are you waiting for clarity? Is it in your career, your health, your relationships, or your dreams? How much longer will you wait before you move? What small action could you take today that would move you one step closer? Stop waiting for everything to line up. Stop waiting for permission. Start moving, even if it's messy, even if it's uncertain. Because once you take that first step, the next one will reveal itself. Clarity is earned. It is not given in advance. It comes to the person who is willing to move through the fog, to make mistakes, to learn, and to keep going. When you understand this, you stop obsessing over the perfect plan and start focusing on progress. Progress over perfection, that is the secret. The truth is, you don't need to see the entire staircase to climb it. You just need to see the next step, and once you take that step, the rest will come into view. Action creates clarity, movement creates momentum, and momentum creates results. If you want a clear path, stop waiting for it to appear and start walking it into existence. All your life, you've been conditioned to believe that somewhere out there exists a savoir, someone who will show up, give you the right advice, provide you the right opportunity, or rescue you from the struggles you're in. And because of that belief, so many people spend years waiting. They wait for someone to notice their potential. They wait for luck to favor them. They wait for the right person to believe in them before they believe in themselves. But here is the undeniable truth. The only person who can truly save you is the one staring back at you in the mirror. Becoming your own hero is not just an idea. It is a necessity if you want to create the life you dream of. Being your own hero means you stop handing over your power to others. You stop expecting others to validate you, to motivate you, or to carry you when life gets hard. It means you take full responsibility for your own strength, your own mindset, and your own future. Heroes are not born when things are easy. They are forged in fire. Every single time you choose to rise when it would be easier to quit, you step into the role of your own savoir. You stop needing someone else to pull you out because you realize you have the power to rise on your own. It's not about rejecting support from others. It's about not depending on it. If someone believes in you, that's a gift. If someone helps you, that's a blessing. But you cannot build your future on the shaky foundation of other people's efforts. Because what happens when they're gone? What happens when they get tired, when they leave, when they're no longer available? If you've built your strength on them, you collapse. But if you've built your strength on yourself, no one can take it away. That's what makes you unshakable. Think of the people you admire most in history, the leaders, innovators, and fighters. They all faced moments where they stood alone. There was no safety net, no savoir coming for them. In those moments, they had two choices: break down or rise up. And the ones who became legends are the ones who chose to rise. They became their own heroes, and in doing so, they inspired millions. That same power exists within you, but you have to choose to tap into it. Becoming your own hero starts with how you talk to yourself. Do you speak to yourself like someone who is weak, who is incapable, who is waiting for a rescue? Or do you speak to yourself like someone who has the power to fight, to endure, and overcome? Heroes are not made by circumstances, they are made by choices. And the most important choice you can make is to believe in your own ability to create change. You will face times when life feels overwhelming, times when you feel like you have no strength left, times when quitting feels easier than continuing. And in those moments, the temptation to wait for someone else to pull you up will be strong. But that is exactly when you must remember this is your fight, your life, your journey. Nobody else can walk it for you. And if you can rise in those moments, if you can push yourself even when no one is there to cheer you on, that is when you step into your own power. The beauty of becoming your own hero is that it changes everything about the way you live. You stop settling for less because you know you can demand more of yourself. You stop making excuses because you realize no one is coming to clean up your mess. It's on you. You stop waiting for the right moment because you recognize that the right moment is the one you create through action. This mindset doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you free. Freedom comes when you realize that no matter what happens, you have what it takes to face it. You don't need to beg for rescue. You don't need to hope for luck. You don't need to depend on someone else's approval. You can stand tall, fight your battles, and build the life you want because you have chosen to be your own savoir. That kind of freedom is priceless, and once you taste it, you will never again want to give your power away. So stop waiting for someone else to show up. Stop waiting for the hero in your story to arrive. The hero has always been you. Every time you get back up after a setback, you are proving it. Every time you choose discipline over excuses, you are proving it. Every time you keep moving forward when it would be easier to give up, you are proving it. You don't need to be rescued. You need to be reminded of who you are. And when you finally embrace that truth, you stop living like a victim and you start living like the warrior you were always meant to be.